You were fine when you were struggling, asking for advice, seeking approval, and playing by the rules. But the moment you started winning on your own terms, suddenly, everyone had a problem with you. What I'm about to explain will make every confusing shift in your relationships finally make sense. People who claim to support you begin to grow distant. Friends who once stood by you start acting cold. Family members who used to encourage you become critical. Coworkers who were friendly start showing hostility. And you're left wondering, what did I do wrong? I'm doing better now than ever, so why does everyone suddenly seem to resent me? Here's the truth. They don't hate you because you changed for the worse. They hate you because you evolved for the better. And that growth threatens everything they believe about themselves and the world. Today, I'm breaking down exactly why people start resenting Sigma males once they begin to evolve. This isn't about being difficult or antisocial. This is about psychology, insecurity, and the hard truth that most people don't actually want to see you succeed. Buckle up, this one's going to sting. Reason 1, your independence exposes their dependency. Let's start with the biggest one. When you were emotionally dependent, constantly seeking approval, reassurance, and validation, people felt comfortable around you. You were predictable, manageable, safe. But the moment you became truly independent, the moment you stopped needing their approval, everything changed. Here's what's really happening: your independence reflects their dependency. When you don't need validation to feel secure, it forces them to confront the fact that they do. When you make decisions based on your own judgment instead of seeking group consensus, it highlights that they can't think without one. You used to ask for advice all the time. Now, you move silently and act decisively. You used to seek approval for your choices. Now, you just do what feels right. That drives people insane because your self-sufficiency proves dependency is optional. It proves that a person can stand alone, emotionally, mentally, and spiritually. And for those who've built their entire identity around being needed or controlling others' emotions, your independence makes them feel irrelevant. I've seen it countless times. The friend who loved giving advice grows distant when you stop asking for it. The family member who played your mentor becomes hostile when you start leading yourself. The partner who once enjoyed being needed starts arguments when you no longer rely on them. They're not angry because you're making bad choices, they're angry because you're making choices without them. They're not concerned about your well-being, they're worried about losing their place in your life. And here's the brutal truth. Most don't even realize this consciously. They'll say they're worried about you, but beneath that surface lies insecurity, triggered by your evolution. Your shift from dependent to independent completely rewires the power dynamics in your relationships. And those who benefited from the old dynamic, the ones who could influence, guide, or control you, will resist that change with everything they've got. Reason 2, your success destroys their excuses. This one cuts deep. When you were struggling like everyone else, people felt comfortable. There was a shared sense of, we're all in this together. Life's hard for everyone, nobody's really winning. But then, you started winning. You built something. You improved your situation. You became disciplined, strategic, and consistent. And suddenly, people changed. Why? Because your success destroys their excuses. When you were broke, they could say, the system is rigged, and you'd agree. But once you figured out how to work within or around that system, their excuse lost power. When you were single, they could say, dating is impossible, and you'd nod. But once you developed yourself enough to attract quality women, that excuse crumbled too. Your success is living proof that the so-called impossible can be done, and that infuriates them. I remember when I started leveling up, better shape, better mindset, better results. Some people were genuinely proud. But others? Their energy shifted fast. Sudden comments like, must be nice, or you've changed, carried a sting. They needed me to stay stuck because my progress highlighted their stagnation. The moment I moved forward, I became a mirror they didn't want to look into, proof that they could have done more but didn't. And instead of facing that truth, they turn against you. They'll label you as money-obsessed, arrogant, or not fun anymore. Those are just coded ways of saying, your success makes me feel small, and I resent you for it. These same people might still say, I'm proud of you, while their actions scream the opposite. Their words show support, but their energy reveals jealousy. The higher you climb, the more excuses you destroy. Every success you achieve is another reminder that their limits were self-imposed. And instead of rising with you, most would rather hate you than face that truth. Reason 3, you stopped playing their social games. Social life runs on unspoken rules, fake enthusiasm, polite lies, performative friendships, and shallow hierarchies. When you played along, everyone was comfortable. But the moment you stopped, when you began saying no to fake obligations, stopped pretending to care about meaningless things, and chose truth over politeness, people turned on you. Here's why. Social games only work if everyone participates. When you opt out, you don't just free yourself, you expose the game itself. Stop going to events that drain you? You're antisocial. Stop agreeing just to keep the peace? You're difficult. Stop maintaining one-sided friendships? You've changed. But what really changed? You started valuing your energy. You started being honest instead of diplomatic. You started choosing authenticity over approval. I'll give you an example. I used to go to every party, even when I didn't want to. That's what you're supposed to do, right? Show up, be social, fit in. Then I asked myself, why am I wasting my time pretending to enjoy shallow conversations with people I don't even like? So I stopped. And instantly, the backlash came. You never come out anymore. You think you're better than us. You've become antisocial. Translation, you stopped playing the game, and now we don't know how to control you. The truth is, most social rituals are just mutual validation loops, everyone pretending to be interested, everyone performing. It's not about connection, it's about ego management. When you stop performing, you shatter the illusion. You reveal that most of these interactions were never real, just time-wasting traditions wrapped in politeness. And people hate you for exposing that truth. Whether it's workplace politics, family hierarchies, or friend group expectations, the moment you stop playing, you become a threat. Not because you're wrong, but because your freedom reminds them they're still trapped. And that's the paradox of the Sigma male's evolution. The more authentic you become, the more false connections you lose. But the more real power, peace, and purpose you gain. Reason 4, your boundaries make them feel rejected. This one hits hard. When you start setting real boundaries, saying no, limiting access, demanding respect, and refusing to tolerate disrespect, people take it personally. You used to be available whenever anyone needed something. You tolerated behavior that crossed your limits. You prioritized everyone else's needs before your own. But not anymore. Now, you protect your time. You don't answer every message the second it comes in, sometimes not at all. You shut down disrespect instead of laughing it off. You walk away from situations that drain your energy. And people hate it. Here's what's really happening. They're not angry about your boundaries, they're angry because they're now on the wrong side of them. They're not upset that you have standards, they're upset that they don't meet those standards. I learned this the hard way. I had a friend who would constantly call just to unload his problems. For years, I listened, gave advice, offered emotional support, but when I needed the same, he was never there. Eventually, I told him I couldn't keep being his unpaid therapist. And guess what? He blew up. I was selfish. I had changed. But the truth was simple, I was never his friend. I was his emotional dumping ground. When I stopped letting him use me, he had no reason to stay. This is a pattern Sigma males face constantly. The moment you set boundaries, the people who benefited from your lack of them get angry. They'll call you cold, selfish, or difficult. But here's the truth. If your boundaries feel like rejection, it's because they plan to cross them. If your standards feel like judgment, it's because they don't meet them. If your self-respect feels like arrogance, it's because they lack their own. Your boundaries force people to either rise to your level or expose that they're not willing to. And since most people won't level up, they'll attack your boundaries instead. They'll label you the problem, paint you as distant, unreasonable, or too serious. But remember this, people who respect themselves, respect boundaries. People who value you, appreciate your standards. The only ones who hate your boundaries are those who were benefiting from you not having any. Reason 5, your emotional detachment removes their control. This one cuts deeper than most people realize. When you reach a point where other people's opinions, moods, or manipulation tactics no longer affect you, you become unpredictable. And unpredictability terrifies those who rely on emotional control. You used to react. You used to explain yourself when accused, defend yourself when misunderstood, and chase after people to prove your worth. But not anymore. Now, when someone disrespects you, you go silent. When they try to guilt trip you, you stay calm. When they expect you to argue, you simply walk away. That emotional detachment, that ability to remain unmoved, is one of the Sigma male's most threatening traits. Because it breaks every control mechanism people depend on. Most people operate through emotional manipulation, guilt, pressure, flattery, passive aggression. They use your empathy as leverage. But once you stop reacting, the power dynamic collapses. When they realize they can't make you angry, can't make you chase, can't make you feel guilty, they panic. They'll call you cold, heartless, or emotionless. But what they're really saying is, I can't control you anymore. Your detachment doesn't mean you don't care. It means you've learned to protect your peace above everything else. You understand that reacting gives away power, so you've learned to respond with silence, composure, and presence. That silence, to the untrained mind, feels like punishment. To you, it's discipline. You've stopped needing to prove yourself. You've stopped trying to change people's opinions. You've stopped fighting battles that only drain your energy. And in doing so, you've become the most dangerous kind of man. A man who cannot be emotionally manipulated. I've seen this pattern play out countless times. People used to press your buttons because they knew how you'd respond. Now those buttons don't work anymore. You've disconnected the wires. They can't reach you. And that frustrates them more than anything, because emotional control was their last form of influence over you. Here's the truth. When you master emotional detachment, you don't lose empathy, you gain power. You stop being a puppet on the strings of guilt, approval, or fear. You start moving through the world with calm dominance, not trying to control others, but fully in control of yourself. And that's exactly why emotional detachment is misunderstood. Because people who depend on control will always label your peace as arrogance and your silence as cruelty. But make no mistake, this isn't cruelty. It's clarity. You've learned that not every battle is worth fighting. Not every comment deserves a response. And not every person deserves access to your emotions. That's not being cold. That's being in command. Reason 6, your confidence destroys their illusion of superiority. This one is uncomfortable for people to admit, especially those who secretly built their self-worth on feeling above you. See, when you were uncertain, humble to a fault, and seeking direction, many people felt secure around you. You made them feel wise, important, and needed. They got used to being the authority, the one who gave you advice, corrected you, or subtly looked down on you. But the moment you became confident, truly confident, everything shifted. Suddenly, your quiet self-assurance feels like arrogance to them. Your grounded energy feels like a threat. Your calm confidence, the kind that doesn't need validation, destroys the illusion they built about being somehow superior to you. You didn't start walking around bragging. You simply stopped apologizing for existing. You stopped explaining your decisions. You stopped shrinking yourself to make others comfortable. And that's when the jealousy begins to show. Here's what's really happening. When you carry yourself with unshakable confidence, it exposes everyone who only pretends to be confident. Because real confidence doesn't compete. It doesn't chase validation. It doesn't need to be seen, it's just felt. Your presence alone becomes enough to make others question themselves. They feel it when you walk into a room, that unspoken energy of someone who's in control of himself, not looking for approval or attention. That's the kind of confidence most people crave but rarely cultivate. And instead of learning from it, they project their insecurity onto you. They'll say you've become full of yourself, when what they really mean is, I can't feel superior to you anymore. Your confidence reminds them of their own doubts. Your composure reminds them of their own emotional chaos. Your calm dominance reminds them that they've been faking strength while you quietly built it. I've seen this happen everywhere. The boss who starts micromanaging you once you stop seeking their approval. The friend who starts mocking your self-assurance. The partner who becomes passive-aggressive once you stop chasing their validation. It's all the same story. They were comfortable as long as they felt one step above you. But once your confidence erased that hierarchy, they had to face the truth, they were never superior. They were just louder. True Sigma confidence is quiet. It's not about being better than others, it's about being unshaken by them. And that, more than anything, destroys false power structures. Because most people's confidence depends on comparison. Yours doesn't. You've built it from solitude, discipline, and self-awareness, not applause. And when your self-worth no longer comes from outside validation, the people who depended on that system start to lose control. Your calm confidence exposes their performance. Your inner strength reveals their outer act. And once they realize they can't intimidate you, manipulate you, or outshine you, they start to resent you. But that resentment? It's not your problem. It's just the sound of their illusions collapsing. Reason 7, your evolution reminds them of their stagnation. Here's something few people admit, your growth forces others to face their lack of it. And that realization burns. 3 years ago, you and your friends were all in the same place, same income, same routines, same mindset. It felt equal, safe, comfortable. No one felt left behind because everyone was standing still together. But then you started growing. You got disciplined. You learned new skills. You built something. And now, you've leveled up, mentally, financially, physically. Meanwhile, they're still repeating the same complaints, the same habits, the same life. And every time they see you, they're reminded of how far you've gone, and how far they haven't. Your progress is living proof that progress was possible all along. Your evolution exposes that staying the same was never fate, it was a choice. I've seen this destroy friendships. One man gets fit while his friends stay out of shape, suddenly he's obsessed or no fun anymore. Another builds a business while his friends stay stuck. Suddenly he's money hungry or forgot where he came from. But these criticisms aren't about fitness or money. They're about discomfort. Your growth reminds them they could have done more, and they didn't. And for Sigma males, this is even more brutal. Because your evolution is silent. You're not announcing it. You're not posting about it. You're just doing the work, quietly. Then one day, people look up and realize you're miles ahead. That realization hits like a truck. Because if your quiet consistency created massive change, what does that say about their loud complaining and lack of effort? Your evolution becomes a mirror reflecting their stagnation. And instead of being inspired by that mirror, they try to shatter it. They'll try to drag you back down. They'll guilt you, mock you, accuse you of changing. Remember when you used to be fun? Translation, remember when you wasted time like us? You've changed so much. Translation, you've grown, and I haven't. You're not the same person anymore. Translation, your progress makes me uncomfortable with my own lack of it. And if you dare encourage them to grow, it only gets worse. The moment you suggest they could improve too, hit the gym, start a project, learn something new, they take it as criticism and attack you for it. The truth is, self-growth exposes who's serious about change and who just talks about it. Yes, it hurts watching people you cared about turn on you. It stings to lose friendships because you set boundaries. It burns when those who once cheered for you now criticize you. But the alternative is worse. Staying small to keep others comfortable is self-betrayal. Maintaining toxic relationships to avoid conflict costs you your peace. Pretending to be someone else just to be liked, that's the fastest way to lose yourself. You can be hated for being real, or loved for being fake. Choose being hated. At least it's honest. So if you've experienced this shift, where people who once supported you turned on you the moment you started evolving, drop a comment with the word empowered. Tell me which reason resonated most. And if this helped you see that their hate is proof you're on the right path. Hit that like button and subscribe, because I'll keep making content for men who'd rather be authentic and alone than fake and accepted. Remember this. You're not being hated because you got worse. You're being hated because you got better. And that's exactly where you're meant to be.